September 3rd, 2025, began as a golden afternoon in Lisbon. The city basked in warm sunlight, its terracotta rooftops glowing under a cloudless sky. The air was filled with the gentle hum of daily life, and the streets were alive with the sounds of laughter, footsteps, and distant music drifting from open windows. The city's iconic Gloria Funicular, a symbol of Lisbon's enduring charm and history, made its usual climb up Calçada da Glória. Its yellow carriages, bright against the cobblestone, have carried generations up and down the steep hill, connecting neighborhoods and stories for over a century. The funicular, packed with locals heading home and tourists eager for adventure, was more than just a means of transport. It was a moving piece of the city's soul, a living memory of Lisbon's past and present. As rush hour swelled and the streets grew busier, no one could have imagined the tragedy about to unfold. People chatted, checked their phones, and waited for their turn to board, unaware of the fate that would soon change everything. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, casting long shadows over the city. But as the last light faded, a dark shadow was about to fall over Lisbon, one that would linger long after the sun had disappeared. In just a few moments, the trust built over 140 years in this beloved monument would be shattered. The familiar creak of the tracks and the clang of the bell would soon be replaced by sirens and cries for help. The city was on the brink of a disaster that would claim lives, shock the community, and raise urgent questions about safety, responsibility, and the true cost of preserving history in a modern world. The ordinary day was about to become anything but, marking a turning point in Lisbon's story that would not soon be forgotten. At 6 p.m., as the city pulsed with the energy of evening rush hour, disaster struck without warning. The Gloria Funicular, packed with commuters and tourists, was straining up the steep hillside. Suddenly, a violent metallic bang shattered the routine. The main haulage cable had snapped, echoing through the narrow streets. For a split second, the car hung motionless, suspended in a moment of eerie silence. Then, as if time itself resumed, gravity seized control. The heavy car began sliding backward, slowly at first, then picking up speed, transforming a routine commute into a terrifying, uncontrollable descent. Inside, panic erupted. Passengers clung to seats and each other as the emergency brakes failed to engage, their faces frozen in fear and disbelief. The funicular careened down the hill, wheels screaming against the rails before finally derailing and slamming with tremendous force into a building at the base of the incline. In an instant, the historic vehicle was reduced to a heap of twisted metal and shattered glass. 17 people lost their lives in the chaos, and more than 20 others, locals and visitors alike, were left injured, some critically, as the city reeled in shock. The crash turned what should have been a simple, everyday ride into a scene of horror, leaving devastation and heartbreak in its wake. What was meant to be a highlight of Lisbon's charm became a tragedy that no one could have imagined, forever changing the city's history.
I heard a huge bang like a metallic explosion. The car just stopped, then shot backward, faster and faster. The sound was a metal scream I'll never forget.
People were screaming, crying, praying. We were thrown against each other like dolls.
Survivors described sheer panic as the car hurtled down. Some tried to leap from windows, desperate to escape.
It didn't slow down. It just crashed into the building. For a second, there was silence, then screaming. The scene was total destruction. People trapped, others lying on the ground.
Witnesses rushed to help, faces etched with fear and determination.
You just react. You hear people in pain and you have to do something. But there was so much chaos, so much twisted metal. The festive evening was replaced by grief and disbelief.
In the aftermath, the urgent question, how could this happen? Authorities launched a full investigation focusing on the snapped cable.
Investigators examined the wreckage, the cable, and the braking system, searching for answers.
The operator Karis insisted all safety protocols were followed, but scrutiny mounted.
Unions blamed years of austerity and outsourced maintenance for declining safety standards.
Maintenance had been outsourced since 2011, with a private company responsible since 2022.
Every maintenance log and inspection report was reviewed to determine if the failure was due to neglect or defect.
The investigation became a debate about responsibility. Was this a tragic accident or a preventable failure? The outcome would be crucial for justice and restoring public trust.
The Gloria Funicular was more than transport. It was a Lisbon icon since 1885, conquering steep hills and connecting neighborhoods.
Its yellow cars, covered in graffiti, were a symbol of the city's spirit and resilience.
Electrified in 1915, it survived wars and upheaval, always a constant presence.
In 1997, it was declared a national monument, a living piece of history.
Riding it was a rite of passage, a daily routine, a shared memory for generations. The crash felt like a betrayal, a trusted friend lost.
The image of the mangled yellow car became a heartbreaking symbol of a promise broken. The tragedy struck at the heart of Lisbon's identity. The response from Portugal was both swift and deeply heartfelt. In the wake of the tragedy, the government declared a national day of mourning, while the city of Lisbon extended this period to 3 days, allowing its citizens time to grieve and reflect. Streets were quieter, flags flew at half-mast, and a somber mood settled over the capital.
President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa addressed the nation, calling it a tragedy unlike any before in Portugal's recent memory. His words resonated with a country united in shock and sorrow, emphasizing the need for collective healing and action.
In an immediate response, the city suspended all funiculars and streetcars, launching urgent safety inspections across the entire transport network. Authorities worked around the clock, determined to ensure that every vehicle and line met the highest safety standards.
Condolences poured in from around the world, with leaders and citizens from many countries expressing their sympathy. The tragedy's impact was felt far beyond Portugal's borders, highlighting the universal importance of public safety. At home, the community rallied together. Vigils were held in city squares and makeshift memorials sprang up, covered in flowers, candles, and heartfelt notes. People of all ages gathered to honor the victims and support one another.
The loss forced a nationwide conversation about infrastructure and public safety. Government officials, experts, and citizens alike demanded answers and solutions, determined to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. The investigation's findings will shape future safety protocols across Portugal's transport systems, setting new standards and hopefully restoring public trust in the city's beloved trams and funiculars.
The hope is that the lessons learned from this tragedy will lead to meaningful reforms, ensuring that such an event never happens again, and that Lisbon's historic transport remains safe for all. For the victims and their families, these changes are the only meaningful tribute, a promise that their loss will not be forgotten, and that their memory will inspire a safer future. The memory of September 3rd will forever mark Lisbon's history. Yet, in the midst of grief, there is hope that this moment will inspire lasting change, making the city safer and more united than ever before.